Most of us tune out, right, with music and news on our commute into work. But two Wall Streeters hatched a plan to change the world while riding their bikes from Brooklyn to their offices in Manhattan. Adam Wolfensohn and Jason Scott this week began a new firm called Encourage Capital, which aims to take the near $152 trillion in wealth of the richest around the world to invest in things that make the planet better, right? Sustainable fisheries, clean energy, building infrastructure for the poor. They've got $250 million so far to do just this, and one half of the team, Adam, is joining me now. Adam, great to see you.
Thanks so much for having me.
So you were already doing this at the Wolfensohn fund management firm, right? So you were already investing in these types of businesses.
That's right. At Wolfensohn Fund Management, we were investing mainly in financial inclusion, so that is financial services that help the poor in microfinance, housing finance, and lending for small and medium-sized enterprises, but very commercial, really private equity in emerging markets.
Okay.
Whereas my partner Jason and Ricardo at Echo Asset Management were working with foundations to help figure out how they can use investment capital fully aligned with their mission to solve critical social and environmental problems, because any systemic problem is
But they were doing that still for profit?
They were doing it for profit and managing some money, but really more on an advisory basis.
Okay.
And we really felt that in order to...
And you work more like a private equity firm.
That's right.
Okay.
That's exactly
right. So
then
what happened? Then how did you two come together here?
Well, we came together. We were actually working on the same floor and close collaborators before, but we saw this enormous demand from investors for really quality investments that don't just wave their hands at impact, but truly solve problems that work not just aligned with their values, but in really strategic ways to solve critical social and environmental issues, like access to finance for the world's poor, or climate change is another example, sustainable fisheries, water in the West. All of these problems are problems that require advocacy, philanthropy, some sort of experimental...
But why not let philanthropy take care of it, though?
Well, that's what's so interesting, is that philanthropy actually is working. Philanthropy is realizing that philanthropy alone won't get the job done.
Okay.
These are enormous problems that interact with capital markets, and just philanthropy and government alone won't solve any of these issues. And capital markets alone won't solve these issues. You need to coordinate them. You need to have a strategic framework within which to do philanthropy and all different types of investment, from the very large institutional commercial on through the experimental.
All right, so Adam, I want to wrap my head around this. So give me an example then, something where you went in, you invested for profit, and it actually changed that area.
Sure. Well, right now we're working in India as an example, where the government has just decided that smallholder agriculture, that farmers should be a priority sector for the government to invest in and for banks to invest in. So from there we can say, let's invest in mid-sized banks, really profitable banks, like, and then we'll take a technology company that will help to extend their reach to smallholder farmers, and then there might, on top of that, we might not manage it, but other people might come in with a concessionary loan that for the lowest of the low-income farmers. And you have these multiple layers of capital that together will solve a problem.
Okay, so how are you going to attract more money then, right? Because I know you've taken basically your prior firm and Jason's prior firm, and so together that's $250 million of your money. So how do you get more?
The way we get more, we think, is by showing to the market that we have a pretty unique set of people who are passionate about quality investing and also passionate about solving problems. And I think that once we show people that, the money will come to us. And so far as it's really missing is either the firm that is really solving problems and really dedicated, committed investors. And we think that we have people in our firm who are passionate enough both that will attract that capital. It'll be anchored by family offices and foundations largely, and then we'll be able to attract the type of capital that's appropriate for the specific project. So if it's a large project, institutional capital will approach at the same time.
Now here's the dilemma. Are you going to sacrifice, though, you know, when you evaluate an investment, when you say, we'll make this investment because it does the planet better, but the returns may not be as great?
There are
if it was just pure profit.
Absolutely. There are times where that's the case, but I would say that there are more times than not when they're fully aligned. Look at renewable energy. If any unit of economic value is a unit of environmental benefit, and if that investment doesn't work, there's no carbon benefit. But if that's a great investment and the company booms or the wind farm is massive, then you have both economic return and environmental return together.